All right, this is going to be the Joc Hunt plane. This was a little flaw mistake that B&E Graphics made on one of mine, and they said, "Oops, sorry," and they sent me the right ones, and I kept these. And I think this would be the perfect time to use them for my trash can plane. I don't know what this is, number 4, number 5, whatever trash can plane this is. So yeah, I completely redid the tail. I'm too lazy to even go show you guys with the camera, but everything's new back there now. So it's new ball links, new push rods, new arms, servo arms. Redid the whole tail wheel, moved the mount on the tail wheel, redid the tail wheel wire. Like I said, you guys saw I dug out the glue out of the hinges. Yeah. That's all good now. And here's where that big switch he had. He had the, dual switch for the batteries. For each battery had its own switch, and each battery had its own charge jack. And that was all here. That's gone to my standard little, where are you? Fail-safe switch from SmartFly. That's all I ever use. And yeah, taking all this apart, I already took everything off here. His ignition kill and everything I'm going to use a Tech Arrow IBAC. And I'm going to put this ignition underneath in the motor box. So, like I said, I think I said all this before. Fix all this stuff to standard. What else can I show you? Let's see. I don't know if I can do this with one hand with these two things. I can't. Hold on. So, yeah, inside you can see it's all stripped. Oh yeah, that's what I did too. I changed all the extensions. We were already going to change the elevator extensions because he had them too short, so you couldn't remove the stabs. So, yeah, those were 48s, so I had to go to 60s. So at the same time, I just went ahead and changed the extensions for the rudder too, because he had like a bunch of extensions all cobbled together. So like everything on here had like, let's see if I can find some of these. Everything here had like 3 extensions doing one thing, so anywhere he ran, he just would, at least he used heat shrink tubing, but he would just like multiple. Here's that switch he had on here. This is kind of cool for some kind of computer or something, but yeah, not so much interested in it for this, for our models. But yeah, so I forgot that. And then he didn't use the tube. He had the extensions strapped outside the tube. He used the tube for a mount though. So I ran 3 new extensions through the tube. These are also those, the rudder, I have the standard 20 gauge with the fat soft insulation, but on the elevators, I have that really multi-thread, like high thread content count. That sounds like a sheet, so there's multiple strands that called threads. Huh? So it's high strand content with high thread count, something like that, with the really hard coating. So they're super light. They're supposed to be comparable in resistance to and throughput to like close to 20 gauge. Like it's right between 20 and 22. It's like 21 gauge. They're supposed to be rated at, and their coating is supposed to be indestructible. This coating, it looks so good because it's so big, but it's just super soft. It's super easy to cut. You just take your fingernail, thumbnail, just cut right through this stuff. Whereas this stuff's really pretty brutal to cut. Yeah, very durable and light. So yeah, anyway, those are all changed. And I'm going to probably put the batteries on either side of the tank. We'll see. Yeah, I'll put an IBAC, straighten all this out. So then I have all that internal stuff to do with a new tank. Well, I'm going to use the same tank that he had in here. I think that's over there. So it's a good tank. And I'll just change all the plumbing inside and out. Mount that over the CG instead of where he had it. And then, yeah, that's kind of it on this stuff. And then I got to turn my attention to these wings. I may not do a lot to the wings. May just change those servo arms. Maybe I could just lower the control horn. I don't know. This is cause for immediate discussion. Yeah, anyway, I'll have to turn my attention to the wings and then get this plane in the air. Let's see. Should make some goals today. I should be having the camera on this. Today, here we go, Joc Hunt speaking to you from my garage. Today is Saturday night. Going to the last day of the fair tomorrow. I'm gonna give myself, I've been flying Friday mornings all of a sudden, for after not flying very much, maybe once a month. And in the last 3 weeks I've gone every Friday morning. So I'm going to set a goal to have this thing ready for Joc Hunt on Friday morning. Pretty funny because it's supposed to be a trash can plane and I was supposed to have bought it cheap and just been out flying it. And instead, taking more time than a new ARF. But still pretty good deal, I didn't realize these DLE 120s now are $1,000. Like everything's gone up, even the DLEs. So you got that, and the plane, delivers another $1,000. So that's $2,000. So still worth it, I guess. I don't know. Every time I do these things, I'm sorry I did, but still trying. One of the things that is going to get me is all the screws. We've gotten so lazy now. Even the Skywings with the pins from last year, you're like, don't like anymore. The new Skywings have the sliders. So how lazy can we get? But it's a pretty cool looking plane. Maybe it'll fly good. Maybe I'll do better, not panicking on the low rifle rolls. We'll see. That's the trouble. You guys know it. Some guys in the comments have already said it to Joc Hunt that, once I go through it and make it more like a plane that's going to be reliable and have good servo authority and everything else, get it to where it's really good, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of like not worrying about it at all. It's a real problem. But this thing was so crappy, it was definitely, and not to criticize the guy that flies, he's a circle flyer, like sport flyer, but very conservative, would have been fine for him. But everything had to go for me. Instead of just calling it crappy, I should say everything had to be changed for me and replaced and all that. Then, it's too nice and it kind of defeats the purpose of the whole cheap trash can plane. The only time it really worked was the first one for two reasons. And I paid too much for that one. I paid like the same $1,000, but that plane and motor and servos were way worse. But I didn't touch anything. I just went and flew it. I did get it to work on the radio, but it was like very minimal amount of things I did. And I think in like 2 hours, I got the thing ready. And then that one I really did push because I just looked at it like a hunk of junk. And so yeah, you guys already know all this, and have already told me don't get carried away. But but this thing about the frog and the scorpion, so it's my nature. There's nothing I can do. But yeah, this thing will be pretty good. I'm not changing all the control horns at this point. That's the only thing. Everything will be new except the control horns. And so I hope they hold up. And then bottom line, I hope, in spite of the work I've done on it, and in spite of how nice it may or may not be, I hope I can push it. I hope I can ignore that and just push it, because I need to push it. And that's all Joc Hunt has to say. Okay, out.